A Man Like None Other Chapter 4 to Chapter 10. What do you want to do? Su Yuki hurriedly stepped forward to block Su Wenzong, but Chen Ping had already stopped at this time. However, after Chen Ping hit a few acupuncture points, Su Wenzong immediately felt that his breathing was smooth and his face was much more rosy. I only temporarily controlled your injury. It will take some time to heal. Your hidden disease needs to be slowly recuperated because of its age. Chen Ping said lightly. Thank you, little brother, for your help, thank you so much. Su Wenzong stepped forward and grabbed Chen Ping's hand excitedly, thanking him constantly. Su Yuki was very surprised to see that her father's face was obviously rosy and his body was much better. I shot to save you because I know that you often do good deeds, and you have donated more than a dozen elementary schools. I should do it all because of reason. The reason why Chen Ping rescued Su Wenzong was because he knew that Su Wenzong was a good man. If he met by chance and had no acquaintance, Chen Ping would not necessarily rescue him, not to mention that Su Yuki had just said badly to him and almost hit him. Death, Chen Ping is not the virgin, anyone can be saved. When Su Wenzong heard this, he was a little embarrassed. What kind of good deed I have done is far from good, little brother saved my life, just say whatever you want. Now it's noon, I invite little brother to go. How about a meal at the Regal Hotel? No, I still have something to deal with. Chen Ping shook his head and refused, and he still wanted to see Gang Shanshan to clarify. Seeing Chen Ping's refusal, Su Wenzong was a little surprised. You must know that as the richest man in Hongcheng, there are countless people who want to invite him to dinner, and those who can sit with him for dinner are all powerful people. Now that he took the initiative to invite Chen Ping to dinner, he didn't expect Chen Ping to refuse, which was a bit unexpected. Little brother, say we have to sit and have a meal together to express my gratitude. Su Wenzong held Chen Ping's arm tightly. Chen Ping could see that Su Wenzong desperately wanted to treat himself to dinner, just wanting to know about the follow-up treatment of his illness, but seeing Su Wenzong as sincere, Chen Ping nodded and said, well, I'll deal with things first, when the time comes. I'll go to the Regal Hotel to find you. Seeing Chen Ping say this, Su Wenzong released his hand. Well, it's a deal, the little brother is here, just call me. Chen Ping nodded and left impatiently, rushing towards the Geng family. Where's Geng Shanshan? I want to see her. In front of a slightly old villa, Chen Ping said to the middle-aged woman in front of him. This middle-aged woman is Geng Shanshan's mother Jiameli. If it was before, Chen Ping would never have dared to speak to Jiameli in such a tone, but now after listening to his mother's story, Chen Ping was already very angry, and he did not act directly, even if is good. Jiameli was wearing a cheongsam, arrogant, crossed her hands on her chest, and looked at Chen Ping with disdain. You hurry up and get out of my way, my daughter is getting married today, you are too bad here as a prisoner of labor. Marry? Chen Ping frowned, it seemed that what the bald head said was true. Where is Geng Shanshan? Who is she married to? Let her come out to meet me and make it clear. Chen Ping rushed towards the villa with a cold face. Hey, you lunatic, how can you break into other people's yards casually? Jiameli pulls Chen Ping desperately. But where did she have Chen Ping's strength? The whole person was dragged into the yard by Chen Ping. Chen Ping was about to rush in with his eyes open. At this time, a girl in a wedding dress walked out with a gloomy face. When he saw the girl, Chen Ping suddenly stopped. Geng Shanshan, what's going on? What's going on? Can you explain it to me? Chen Ping waited for his eyes angrily and questioned Geng Shanshan. Chen Ping, let's go, don't come looking for me, I have decided to marry Xiao Lei. Geng Shanshan looked at Chen Ping expressionlessly and said. Chen Ping's eyes narrowed and his fists clenched tightly. Although he already knew it, when Geng Shanshan said it himself, Chen Ping's heart twitched fiercely. He was imprisoned by that Xiao Lei, but now his girlfriend is going to marry him? This is so ironic. Suddenly, Chen Ping laughed bitterly at himself, he felt that he was really too cheap. Is that what you mean? Chen Ping looked at Geng Shanshan, there was no anger on his face, and his hands slowly loosened. Yes. Geng Shanshan nodded, I want to have a rich life, but you can't give it to me at all. And you are still a prisoner of labor reform. Even if you come out, I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to support yourself. What will you support me? For the sake of our previous relationship, you can take these hundreds of dollars and sleep on the streets of the province. After Geng Shanshan finished speaking, she took out a few hundred yuan bills from her bag and threw them on Chen Ping's face. At this moment, Chen Ping looked at Geng Shanshan and gave up completely. The person in front of him was no longer his girlfriend. You will regret this. Chen Ping turned around and left without taking any money from Geng Shanshan. Bah, you will regret marrying this poor ghost. Jiameli spat fiercely in the back. When Chen Ping just walked to the door, a convoy of greetings directly blocked the way. A young man in a suit and leather shoes walked down from the float with a bouquet of flowers in his hand. This person was Xiao Lei. Xiao Lei was slightly taken aback when he saw Chen Ping, but then he laughed out loud. I forgot that you were released from prison today. What a coincidence! Would you like to join me in Chen wedding? Xiao Lei looked at Chen Ping playfully, his eyes full of ridicule. Chen Ping just glanced at Xiao Lei coldly, turned sideways and wanted to leave. He didn't want to talk nonsense with such a person. Don't go. Xiao Lei stopped Chen Ping again, is there no money to follow? It doesn't matter, you don't need to take the money, you can eat the leftovers at that time. We are holding the wedding at the Regal Hotel. If you don't go, I'm afraid you won't have the chance to eat there in the future. Xiao Lei smirked at Chen Ping, and even reached out and patted Chen Ping's face. Chen Ping knocked Xiao Lei's hand off with all his strength. Marry a slut, there's nothing to worry about, it's all left by Lao Zi. Chen Ping smiled coldly. In fact, Chen Ping never touched Geng Shanshan at all, or even pulled his hands. He said this to disgust Xiao Lei, and to rectify that Geng Shanshan by the way. Xiao Lei was stunned after hearing this, and hurriedly looked at Geng Shanshan. Geng Shanshan told him that she never even held hands with Chen Ping. What's the situation now? Seeing Xiao Lei look over, Geng Shanshan immediately became anxious and shouted at Chen Ping, Chen Ping, what nonsense are you talking about? Who is left by you? As far as your virtues are concerned, I have never let you touch it. Jiameli also panicked and yelled at Chen Ping, don't eat the grapes and say the grapes are sour. With your virtue, how could my daughter let you touch it? Xiao Lei, don't believe his nonsense, he made it clear that he wanted to disgust you. Jiameli explained to Xiao Lei that she finally found a golden tortoise-in-law, but she couldn't be disturbed by Chen Ping's words. Auntie, don't worry, I won't believe it. Xiao Lei is not stupid, and of course he will not trust Chen Ping's words. Believe it or not. Chen Ping was too lazy to pay attention to Xiao Lei, so he bypassed him and walked out. Wait a moment. Xiao Lei stopped Chen Ping, you'd better keep your mouth under control, don't speak ill of my wife everywhere, or I'll make you look good. Xiao Lei was afraid that Chen Ping would talk nonsense everywhere and ruin the reputation of their Xiao family. Ho ho, the mouth is on me, I can say whatever I want, you can control me. Chen Ping looked at Xiao Lei coldly, but you have to pay attention, don't lose your life one day, I don't know what happened. Looking at Chen Ping's cold eyes, Xiao Lei was in a trance for a moment, and there was a trace of fear in his heart. But just for a moment, Xiao Lei felt that he had been humiliated, his eyes widened and he reprimanded, if you kid is not afraid of death, you can try it, then don't kneel down and beg me. Xiao Lei's face was full of anger, if it wasn't for him getting married today, he would have given Chen Ping a good look. I don't know who knelt down and begged whom. Let's wait and see. Chen Ping stared at Xiao Lei. Xiao Lei, the time has come, let's ignore this poor bastard. Jiameli gave Chen Ping a look of contempt. Xiao Lei held the flowers, and the group walked towards the house. Chen Ping looked at Xiao Lei's back, and suddenly flicked his fingers, and a silver light suddenly entered Xiao Lei's body. Xiao Lei shuddered obviously, but he didn't care and continued to walk into the room. I want to see if you will kneel down and beg me. A sneer appeared on the corner of Chen Ping's mouth. He turned and left, heading towards the Fortune Hotel. The entrance of the Fortune Hotel. Su Wenzong personally waited for Chen Ping at the door, and Su Wenzong's appearance made everyone who entered the Fortune Hotel have a lot of discussion. Isn't this the richest man Su? He was standing at the door of the hotel, as if waiting for someone. I don't know what the other party's background was, and he could make the richest man wait for him. I heard that the eldest son of the Xiao family is getting married, and the wedding will be held here. Isn't it someone who is waiting for the Xiao family? It's possible, after all, the Xiao family is also a wealthy family, so they should give some face. Everyone walked into the Regal Hotel talking, but Su Wenzong was still hovering at the door, looking at his watch from time to time. His face became a little impatient. Dad, I think that kid is talking nonsense. He said that you have injured your left lung, and you still have a hidden disease that is life-threatening. It's just nonsense. You are just a cold and your lungs are inflamed. Don't wait, let's accompany you to the hospital. Su Yuki persuaded Su Wenzong. Su Wenzong had been waiting here for half an hour, but before Chen Ping arrived, Su Yuki felt that Chen Ping was talking nonsense. Besides, Su Wenzong had never told them that he had injured his left lung, and this had never happened before. Happening. Yuki, there are some things you don't understand. Even if I go to the hospital, my injury is not good at all. I have a hidden disease for more than 20 years. The reason why I haven't told you about it is because I'm afraid. You will be worried. Su Wenzong sighed and said solemnly. When Su Yuki heard this, her whole body became a little stupid, and she nervously took Su Wenzong's hand. Dad, what the? I have called Dr. Sun and he will be here soon. Su Yuki panicked. From the time she could remember, she had never seen her mother. It was Su Wenzong who brought her up, and the two depended on each other for life. If Su Wenzong had 3 strengths and 2 weaknesses, Su Yuki didn't know what to do with herself. Live on. It's a long story. If you have time, Dad will tell you slowly. After Su Wenzong finished speaking, he looked at his watch again, and then looked anxiously into the distance. When he saw Chen Ping's figure appear, Su Wenzong instantly became excited and ran directly towards Chen Ping. Little brother, you are finally here, please come in quickly. Su Wenzong took Chen Ping's hand, and he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Mr. Su, since I promised you, I will definitely come. Chen Ping knew that Su Wenzong was afraid of letting him go. Su Wenzong showed a hint of embarrassment and could only smile. Little brother, please, please. Su Wenzong kept his posture very low, which made people who came to the hotel guess Chen Ping's identity after seeing it. Then Su Yuki saw that Chen Ping's back was upright, while her father was shy, and immediately became furious. What's the matter with you, boy? My dad has been waiting for you at the door for more than half an hour, and you can see my dad's face. It's obviously getting more and more ugly. Will you treat the disease? Su Yuki had a deep opinion on Chen Ping. At first, Chen Ping controlled Su Wenzong's condition. Su Yuki was also surprised, thinking that Chen Ping really had 2 strokes. But it didn't take long. Su Wenzong's original rosy face became more and more ugly, which made Su Yuki think that Chen Ping was a liar. Maybe he was cheating money. Yuki, no nonsense, hurry up and apologize to the little brother. Su Wenzong's face turned cold and he roared at Su Yuki. I don't want to apologize to him. Look at his hair. What kind of genius doctor would he be? I think he's a big liar. Su Yuki looked at Chen Ping coldly. She felt that the reason why Su Wenzong did not go to the doctor was because of Chen Ping. Seeing that Su Yuki was disobedient, Su Wenzong's face instantly flushed with anger, and his breathing began to become rapid. Cough cough. Su Wenzong wanted to say something, but he didn't say a word, and began to cough violently. Dad! Su Yuki rushed over and supported Su Wenzong. And Su Wenzong coughed out a mouthful of black blood, which frightened Su Yuki so much that her face changed. Looking at the black blood that Su Wenzong coughed up, Chen Ping's brows instantly wrinkled. It seems that Su Wenzong's injury is more serious than he imagined. Hurry up and take your dad to the room, Chen Ping said to Su Yuki, who had already panicked. But Su Yuki was stunned and didn't move, because she didn't trust Chen Ping very much. Seeing that Su Yuki didn't move, Chen Ping frowned and said sternly, "Do you want to watch your father die?" Su Yuki was yelled at by Chen Ping, and then she supported Su Wenzong and walked into a box of the hotel. After entering the box, Chen Ping called Su Wenzong's pulse, and his expression became solemn. Just when Chen Ping was about to treat Su Wenzong, the box door was suddenly pushed open, and a doctor wearing glasses and a white coat walked in. "Dr. Sun, hurry up, look at my dad, he just vomited blood." After Su Yuki saw the person who came, she seemed to have caught a life-saving straw. "What? Let me see." Dr. Sun was startled and hurriedly opened the medicine box. "Get out of the way." Su Yuki pushed Chen Ping aside, then supported Su Wenzong and said to Dr. Sun, "Dr. Sun, my father's illness depends on you, you must save him." At this time, Su Wenzong was almost in a coma, and his breathing became very weak. "Don't worry, Miss Su, I will do my best," Dr. Sun said, and began to take the pulse of Su Wenzong. As the pulse time got longer and longer, Dr. Sun's brows became deeper and deeper. Su Yuki looked at Dr. Sun's appearance with anxiety on her face and didn't dare to say anything. "Miss Su, Su has always injured the spleen and lungs, causing hidden diseases. This accumulated chronic disease must be managed slowly, but someone forcibly stimulated Mr. Su's immunity. Although it seems to be effective for the time being, but this has aggravated President Su's condition, and I'm afraid that President Su is now in danger." "Before me, who actually treated President Su?" Dr. Sun said solemnly. When Su Yuki heard this, she was instantly furious, and looked directly at Chen Ping, who had treated her father just now. At that time, as Dr. Sun said, her father's condition improved a lot, but she didn't think so. "Killed his own father? You liar! If my father has 3 strengths and 2 weaknesses, I will never spare you." Su Yuki yelled at Chen Ping, her face full of anger. If it wasn't because she couldn't get away from supporting Su Wenzong, it is estimated that Su Yuki would have done something to Chen Ping. "Why do you call me a liar? What did I lie to your family for? If it weren't for me, your father would have been a corpse by now. It's unreasonable." Chen Ping snorted coldly, disgusting Su Yuki very much. "A girl's family, just open her mouth and shut her mouth is a liar. How can there be a little girl's tenderness? You!" Su Yuki was furious, but she couldn't quarrel with Chen Ping at this time. It was the most important thing to save her father first. "Dr. Sun, please, think of a solution quickly, please." Su Yuki was about to cry in a hurry. Dr. Sun opened the medicine box, took out a black pill and stuffed it into Su Wenzong's mouth, and then took out a pack of silver needles. In Su Wenzong's sink, Tian Hai, and the feet were punctured in several acupoints. "You are not saving people by doing this, you are harming people." Chen Ping looked at Dr. Sun's acupuncture and said calmly. Dr. Sun frowned, "What do you mean? Are you questioning me? Could it be that you can't do acupuncture?" Acupuncture is traditional Chinese medicine. It is not like Western medicine. You can become proficient in 3 or 5 years of study. Acupuncture and moxibustion in traditional Chinese medicine may be difficult to get started with for 10 or 8 years. It may take decades to master it. People have learned for a lifetime, but they dare not say that they are proficient. But Chen Ping looked at the age of only about 20. Even if he learned acupuncture from his mother's womb, how could he be so smart? What nonsense are you talking about? I don't need you here, hurry up. Suyuki was afraid that Chen Ping would influence Dr. Sun to see a doctor, so she roared angrily. Okay, this is what you told me to get out of. I'm sitting in the corridor outside, and within 5 minutes, you will definitely beg me to come back. After Chen Ping finished speaking, he opened the box door and walked out. Chen Ping walked back, no one cared about him, and Dr. Sun began to carefully acupuncture Su Wenzong, and soon he was sweating profusely. After the last needle was pierced, Su Wenzong woke up and slowly opened his eyes. Dad, my dad is awake, Dr. Sun, my dad is awake, it's great. Seeing Su Wenzong awake, Suyuki shouted happily, her eyes filled with tears. She was really scared just now, afraid that her father would never wake up again. When Dr. Sun saw that Su Wenzong was awake, he let out a long sigh of relief. In fact, he had no idea what to do. But when Suyuki and Dr. Sun both breathed a sigh of relief, Su Wenzong, who had already opened his eyes, suddenly trembled violently, his expression was very painful, and they were in difficulty with each other, and the whole face turned purple. Dad, Dad! Suyuki shouted loudly, looking at Dr. Sun in a panic, Dr. Sun, what's going on? At this time, Dr. Sun was also a little flustered, and seemed at a loss. I don't know, how can this happen, how can this happen? Who are you asking? You're a doctor. Suyuki was in a hurry and shouted at Dr. Sunday. At this time, Su Wenzong's shaking became smaller and smaller, and finally there was no movement at all, and he couldn't even detect his breathing. This time, Dr. Sun panicked even more. If Su Wenzong had any good or bad, he probably wouldn't think about it. Dad, don't scare me, don't scare me! Suyuki cried. Miss Su, let's send President Su to the hospital, I have no choice. Dr. Sun said anxiously. The reason why he chose to send Su Wenzong to the hospital at this time was simply to avoid responsibility. If Su Wenzong died in the hospital, it had nothing to do with him. Do you think I'm stupid? Can my dad still go to the hospital in this situation? Hurry up and save my dad, if you can't save my dad, don't live anymore. Suyuki had lost her mind at this time, and said with anger in her eyes. The Su family is the richest man in Zhongcheng. It is not a simple matter to deal with a little doctor. This time, Dr. Sun was frightened, but he had nothing to do. Just when he was anxious, he suddenly thought of Chen Ping, and Dr. Sun hurriedly said, Miss Su, the young man who just went out, maybe he really there is a way, I see that guy has 2 strokes. When Dr. Sun said this, Suyuki also thought of Chen Ping, but just now that Dr. Sun looked down on Chen Ping, but now he praised him, he just wanted Chen Ping to come over and help him beat the thunder. As long as Chen Ping starts to heal, even if Su Wenzong is dead, he will not be able to find his responsibility. It is the responsibility of Chen Ping alone. Suyuki hesitated, and finally put Su Wenzong on the chair and rushed out of the private room. At this time, Chen Ping was sitting on a chair in the corridor, and he knew that Suyuki would definitely come out to find him. Seeing that Chen Ping hadn't left, Suyuki hurried over, but just as she was about to open her mouth, she suddenly found that she didn't even know Chen Ping's name. Please, please save my father. Suyuki looked embarrassed and begged to Chen Ping. Chen Ping slowly raised his head to look at Suyuki, but Suyuki didn't dare to look directly into Chen Ping's eyes. She scolded Chen Ping just now, but now she came to beg Chen Ping. You believe that I can save your father, that I am not a liar? Chen Ping asked. Suyuki didn't say anything, she didn't know how to answer, because at this moment Suyuki didn't fully trust Chen Ping, she just had no choice, she was just a dead horse as a living horse doctor. Seeing Suyuki like that, Chen Ping smiled, not embarrassing her, but got up and walked towards the private room. Suyuki hurriedly followed behind, while that Dr. Sun was sweating profusely and was anxiously walking in the private room. Seeing Chen Ping coming, Dr. Sun seemed to see a savior. No matter whether Chen Ping could cure Su Wenzong or not, as long as Chen Ping took action, his own responsibility would be released. Little brother, it was my fault just now, please save President So quickly. Dr. Sun also put down his worth and begged Chen Ping to say. Compared with his own net worth and life, saying a few good things is nothing. Chen Ping glanced at Su Wenzong and sighed, it seems that I can only fight. After Chen Ping finished speaking, he looked at Dr. Sun and asked, do you still have any silver needles? Yes, in the medicine cabinet. Dr. Sun hurriedly took out a package of silver needles and handed it to Chen Ping. Not enough. Chen Ping shook his head. Not enough. Dr. Sun was stunned, there are more than 30 silver needles in this pack, isn't it enough? In acupuncture, it is quite remarkable to be able to administer a dozen or so needles. Even Hu Jimin, the president of the Chinese Medicine Association, known as a genius doctor, can only administer 20 or so needles. More than 30 silver needles are supposed to be enough. Not enough, I need a lot of silver needles. Chen Ping said. How much? Dr. Sun asked carefully. 9981. When Chen Ping's voice fell, Dr. Sun was stunned, and the whole person was stunned. After a while, there was a hint of panic in Dr. Sun's eyes, but without saying anything, he took out all the silver needles directly from the medicine box. Chen Ping took the silver needle and placed Su Wenzong's body flat on the ground. Then he waved his hands, and the silver needle kept piercing into Su Wenzong's body. Chen Ping's forehead began to sweat, and the whole person looked very tired, and his clothes were soaked. When the last silver needle pierced into Su Wenzong's body, Chen Ping let out a long sigh, and the whole person seemed to have collapsed and sat directly on the ground. During this period, Suyuki kept watching anxiously. She didn't know anything about acupuncture and wanted to ask, but she was afraid of disturbing Chen Ping. But at this time, Dr. Sun was already stunned on the spot, and his mouth was wide enough to fit an egg. After a while, Dr. Sun changed from shock to excitement, and knelt in front of Chen Ping with a thud. Dr. Sun's sudden action shocked Chen Ping and Suyuki. Divine Doctor, please accept me as a disciple. Dr. Sun said, kowtow to Chen Ping. Chen Ping opened his mouth, but found that he had no strength at all, and Suyuki looked at Dr. Sun in shock. Dr. Sun, what's wrong with you? Is my dad still awake? Suyuki didn't understand, her father was still awake, why did Dr. Sun call Chen Ping a genius doctor? Miss Su doesn't know anything. The genius doctor just used a 9-turn revitalizing needle. Even the dead can be healed. President Su will definitely be fine. Dr. Sun explained to Suyuki. So smart. Su Yingxia looked at Chen Ping in disbelief. If what Dr. Sun said was true, then Chen Ping could really be called a genius doctor. I didn't expect you to know about the Juzwen rejuvenation needle. Chen Ping took a deep breath and said in surprise. This 9-turn revival needle is an ancient acupuncture method that has been lost for a long time. It was learned by Chen Ping from Lao Longtu. He did not understand how Dr. Sun knew it. The genius doctor, I am Sun Song, Vice President of the Hongcheng Traditional Chinese Medicine Association. I have seen this type of acupuncture in an ancient book, but I never thought that I would be fortunate enough to see a genius doctor administer acupuncture today, and ask the genius doctor to accept me as a disciple. With that said, Sun Song started to kowtow to Chen Ping. Chen Ping was a little overwhelmed by Sun Song's behavior. At this moment, a few coughs sounded, and Su Wenzong woke up. Dad! Suyuki reacted, and hurriedly stepped forward to help Su Wenzong up, but Chen Ping grabbed her. Miss Su, you can't move now, wait until I take out the silver needle from your father's body. Chen Ping took Suyuki's thin hand, which was soft and warm in his hand, which made Chen Ping's heart agitate, and Suyuki seemed to feel the temperature in Chen Ping's hand, and her face flushed. It's work. Chen Ping hurriedly let go of Suyuki, set his mind, and waved his hands gently in front of Su Wenzong. 81 silver needles, the coefficient was sucked into Chen Ping's palm. That's it. Chen Ping returned the silver needle to Sun Song and said to Suyuki. At this moment, Suyuki didn't dare to have the slightest suspicion of Chen Ping, and after expressing her thanks, she stepped forward to support Su Wenzong, and tears of excitement were about to flow out. Dad, how are you feeling? Suyuki asked while supporting Su Wenzong. I'm fine, I'm fine. Su Wenzong smiled slightly, but when he saw Sun Song kneeling on the ground, he asked in confusion, what's going on? Suyuki could only talk about Chen Ping's use of the 9-turn revival needle to save him. When Su Wenzong heard it, he was immediately surprised. He felt that Chen Ping could see the illness in his body, and it should have been 2 strokes, but he never thought that it would be so powerful that even Sun Song, the vice president of the Chinese Medicine Association, would kneel down to apprentice. Little brother, this is the 2nd time you have rescued me. From now on, you are the great benefactor of my Su family. As long as you say a word, Su can do it, and I will never refuse. Su Wenzong said excitedly. Mr. Su is very polite. It's just a little effort. Besides, you have done good deeds for a long time. This is also your blessing. Chen Ping said lightly, but then the conversation changed. Although I temporarily saved your life with the 9-turn revival needle, if you don't cure your disease, you won't be able to live for 3 months at most. Hearing what Chen Ping said, Su Wenzong knelt in front of Chen Ping with a thud. Please save my life, sir, I am willing to pay my life's money. Su Wenzong was frightened, and instead of calling Chen Ping his little brother, he changed his name to Mr. Chen. He was really afraid that Chen Ping would not save him. In order to survive, he is willing to give all his family wealth to Chen Ping. As the richest man in Hongcheng, Su Wenzong has a lot of assets. Now he wants to give all of it to Chen Ping. I am afraid that everyone who sees it will be envious. Mr. Su doesn't have to be like this. Since I meet you, I will naturally save you. It's just that I still need some rare medicinal materials, so I need you to prepare the medicinal materials. Chen Ping has no money to buy medicine for Su Wenzong, and the medicinal materials he needs are all priceless, and most people are really not prepared. Sir, just say what you need. Su Wenzong nodded quickly, and then said to Suyuki, Yuki, prepare a pen and paper to record it. When Su Wenzong suddenly changed his name to Mr. Chen, he felt uncomfortable, so he said, Mr. Su, my name is Chen Ping, you can just call him by his first name. How can that be? Mr. Chen is my savior, and my Su family will never forget it. Seeing Su Wenzong's stubbornness, Chen Ping didn't insist on it, but wrote a full prescription with pen and paper and gave it to Suyuki. Mr. Su, most of the medicines on this list are what you need, but a small part is for my mother. My mother is blind. If you want to cure it, you also need some medicines. Chen Ping followed Su Wenzong truthfully. Chen Ping's mother, Tang Hongying's eye disease, was blinded because she cried for too long. It is not difficult for Chen Ping to cure it. It's just that with his current ability, it is still difficult to prepare medicinal materials for treatment, so he simply asked the Su family to prepare together. But there are 2 things, Chen Ping worried that the Su family would not be able to find them, one of which is a brush with a certain spirituality, such as those used by writers for a long time, which have spirituality. Or a brush made of spiritual animal hair can also be used, these spiritual brushes are just one of them. It is also necessary to use cinnabar. Although cinnabar is very common now, the cinnabar that Chen Ping needs to use is made of lobular red sandalwood or old sandalwood that is more than 100 years old. With the spiritual brush, you only need to tap a few points on Tang Hongying's eyes. After that, you can basically see things. Although Chen Ping also wrote these 2 things on the list, he did not expect the Sui family to find these two things. These two things can be met but not sought after, and only those who understand can tell the difference. Mr. Chen, you can say whatever you want. As long as I can do it, I will never refuse. Su Wenzong said quickly. Mr. Chen, what is the use of the brush and cinnabar on your list? At this time, Su Yuki asked. After all, writing brushes and cinnabar are not like things that can be used to treat diseases, and these two things are all over the street. Yuki, since Mr. Chen wrote it, it makes sense, so don't talk too much. Su Wenzong glared at Su Yuki and said. It's okay. Chen Ping smiled, these two are also used for healing, but these two are not ordinary brushes and cinnabars, they need spiritual brushes and cinnabars. With spirituality. Su Yuki was blinded this time. Su Wenzong was also confused, they didn't understand what was spiritual at all. Seeing that both of them were blinded, Chen Ping explained, all things in the world are born and die, and everything has spirituality, even the dead things that people see in the world, such as the table and chairs here, are all there can be spirituality, but that requires particularly harsh conditions and opportunities. Just like this chair I made, if I sit on this chair to practice the exercises for 10 years, 50 years, or even 100 years, this chair will gradually become spiritual. Chen Ping was afraid that the two of them would not understand, so he could only follow the two of them in a very popular way. Oh, I understand. Su Yuki suddenly exclaimed in surprise, Mr. Chen's meaning is just like it was played on TV, a tree in the fairy cave can become spiritual over time, and even transform into a human form. Yuki, don't talk nonsense. Su Wenzong was speechless after listening to Su Yuki's explanation. In his opinion, there are no gods in this world, what a century it is. Miss Su's explanation is right, that's what it means. Chen Ping smiled slightly. Chen Ping didn't believe it before, but after following Lao Longta for 3 years, he realized that there were too many things in this world that he didn't know. Just like the condensing heart technique that the old dragon had passed on to him, it is a method of cultivating immortals. Su Wenzong smiled awkwardly, not thinking that Su Yuki really explained it right. If someone said something about spirituality, immortals, etc., Su Wenzong would definitely sneer, but when Chen Ping said it, it made Su Wenzong a little shaken. Chen Ping and Su Wenzong were talking, and he didn't even look at Sun Song, who was kneeling on the ground. Although Sun Song's human nature was not particularly bad, it was difficult for him to take responsibility. Chen Ping didn't want to accept him, and there was no permission from the old leader. Chen Ping will not accept apprentices casually. After talking for about 10 minutes, Chen Ping also knew how Su Wenzong was injured. It turned out that when Su Wenzong was young, he was slapped by a business competitor. Because there was no trauma, there was nothing wrong after the examination. So he doesn't care. But it didn't take long for Su Wenzong to feel that his body was getting weaker and weaker, and he often had difficulty breathing. However, Su Wenzong was afraid that his family would be worried, so he kept it a secret, which is why Su Yuki didn't know her father had a hidden illness. Chen Ping understood as soon as he heard it, the person who injured Su Wenzong must be a warrior who has cultivated inner strength. It seems that he is going to kill Su Wenzong, but Su Wenzong is rich, and he bought it with heavy gold. Tonic can only last until now. If he hadn't met himself, Su Wenzong would not have survived at all. I beg Mr. Chen to accept me as a disciple. Sun Song, who was kneeling on the ground, shouted again. At this time, his legs were already numb, accompanied by pain, making Sun Song very uncomfortable now. Chen Ping glanced at Sun Song, get up, I won't accept apprentices, but if you don't understand something, I can give you pointers. Chen Ping saw that Sun Song had been kneeling for so long, and he was sincere, so he agreed to give him instructions, but Chen Ping would never accept an apprentice. Seeing Chen Ping say this, Sun Song was overjoyed and thanked again and again, thank you Mr. Chen, thank you Mr. Chen. Sun Song stood up slowly, but his legs were numb and painful, making him unable to stand at all. Seeing Sun Song's situation, Chen Ping stretched out his hand and tapped on Sun Song's leg. The pain and numbness disappeared instantly, which shocked Sun Song. "Mr. Su, there are still parents at home. I'm going back. After the medicinal materials are ready, you can call me." Chen Ping slowly got up and said. Chen Ping's mother was still at home alone, which made him very uneasy. "Mr. Chen, where do you live now?" Su Wenzong asked. "What's wrong with living in Xingfulai community?" Chen Ping said strangely. "Oh, nothing, I just have a house that has been idle and useless, so I will give it to Mr. Chen. That place is also very suitable for recuperation. I hope it will be useful to Mr. Chen." Su Wenzong said, and took out a key from his pocket. "Then thank you, Mr. Su." What Chen Ping Yuan wanted to refuse, he did not see a doctor for Su Wenzong to get anything, but thinking that his parents lived in that dilapidated house and that he wanted to earn money to buy a house, he was afraid that it would take a while, so he agreed. But when the key was handed over to Chen Ping was stunned. This was the key to the Panlongguan Villa. The Panlongguan Villa district is the best community in Hongcheng. The whole community is built on the only mountain in Hongcheng. The scenery in the community is pleasant and the air quality is particularly good. The people who can live here are either rich or expensive, and they are all upper-class people. Ordinary people, let alone living in the community, can't even pay the property fee. "Mr. Su, this house is too expensive, you should take it back." Chen Ping hurriedly returned the key. "Mr. Chen, don't shirk. Does it mean that my life is not worth a house?" Su Wenzong smiled slightly. When Su Wenzong said this, Chen Ping could only accept it, and Su Wenzong took out a bank card and gave it to Chen Ping, with 10 million in it. Chen Ping knew that he couldn't escape, so he could only put the bank card in his pocket. Just when Chen Ping was about to leave, there was a burst of clamor from downstairs. It was very loud. Chen Ping frowned slightly. Seeing Chen Ping frowning, Su Wenzong immediately called the hotel manager over. "What's going on? It's so noisy." Su Wenzong asked. "Mr. Su, young Master Xiao of the Xiao family is getting married today, and the wedding banquet will be held in the banquet hall on the second floor, that's why it's so noisy." The manager hurriedly explained to Su Wenzong. When Su Wenzong heard this, he gave up. After all, his hotel is open for business, and when people get married, it is inevitable to make some noise. "Mr. Su, farewell." Chen Ping bowed his hands to Su Wenzong and walked out of the private room. Just after Chen Ping went downstairs, he met Xiao Lei and walked into the hotel with his bride Gang Shanshan in his arms. After seeing Chen Ping, Xiao Lei was stunned for a moment, but then laughed. "Chen Ping, I didn't expect you to come to our wedding, do you want to eat and drink?" Chen Ping glanced at Xiao Lei coldly, and without saying a word, turned to one side and wanted to leave. "Don't go." Xiao Lei blocked Chen Ping's way, and said mockingly, "Look at your ex-girlfriend, isn't she beautiful now? Don't you have anything to say to her?" Xiao Lei is deliberately making Chen Ping embarrassed. "Brother Lei, ignore him, the time is coming." Gang Shanshan, who was in Xiao Lei's arms, didn't even look at Chen Ping. She said to Xiao Lei. "Xiao Lei, don't pay attention to this rubbish, you can't miss the hour, you go to the hall, I'll drive this rubbish away." Jiameli urged Xiao Lei, then looked at Chen Ping and said, "Are you finished? You even chased after you to the hotel, just like your toad, can my daughter like you? Take a piss on yourself, get out of here, don't try to make trouble here." Jiamimi's words are bitter and mean, and it can be said that every word is punishing. The relatives and friends around them whispered one by one, watching Chen Ping keep sneering. At this time, Chen Ping was like a clown jumping off the beam, and was laughed at by everyone. "One day, you will all kneel at my feet and beg me. Chen Ping suppressed the anger in his heart, pushed Xiao Lei away, and walked out. Stop him! Xiao Lei frowned. Today, if you want to participate, you have to participate, and if you don't want to participate, you have to participate. I will let you, a waste, watch your girlfriend marry me. As soon as Xiao Lei spoke, the bald people immediately stopped Chen Ping. They were beaten at Chen Ping's house, and they still had grievances in their hearts. Now they just want to take revenge on Chen Ping. Seeing the bald-headed people holding him viciously, Chen Ping slowly turned his head to look at Xiao Lei. Are you sure you want me to attend your wedding? Yes, I just let you watch it with your own eyes. I want you to know that you are not worthy to fight with me. Xiao Lei sneered. Well, if I were to attend, your wedding wouldn't be held. After Chen Ping finished speaking, he turned around and walked into the wedding banquet hall on the second floor. There are more than 100 tables in this hall. Ha ha ha, I want to see how you made my wedding impossible. Xiao Lei laughed. He didn't believe Chen Ping's threat at all, but in order to prevent Chen Ping from making trouble and disturbing everyone's yaxing, Xiao Lei faced the bald head said, Bald, bring a few more people and follow that Chen Ping for me. If he dares to come back, he will be arrested for me immediately. Young Master Xiao, don't worry, this matter is left to me. The bald head nodded, and there were a few cold rays in his eyes. He was just about to seek revenge on Chen Ping. In the marriage hall, Chen Ping found a corner and sat down. The people who can attend the Xiao family's son's wedding are either rich or expensive. Therefore, the appearance of Chen Ping caused many guests in the hall to cast a strange look. At such a luxurious wedding scene, an ordinary young man suddenly appeared, which seemed out of place. But soon, Chen Ping's identity was spread among the many guests, and this time, there were more eyes on Chen Ping. Most of them were mocking, and some were sympathetic. It's just that Chen Ping didn't care about these eyes, sitting alone in the corner, eating the dried fruit on the table, without a trace of expression on his face. The bald head is with a dozen people, standing behind Chen Ping and staring closely. As long as Chen Ping dares to make a change, he will shoot without hesitation. Hey, isn't this Chen Ping? When did you get out of prison? A sarcastic voice sounded. Chen Ping looked up, and found a woman dressed in enchanting, heavy makeup walking towards Chen Ping, with a young man following the woman. The woman's voice instantly attracted the attention of the surrounding guests. At first, they only thought that Chen Ping was the ex-boyfriend of the bride, and they came to see his girlfriend for the last time, but they didn't want Chen Ping to go to jail. The surrounding guests felt more for Chen Ping. Interested.